You can tell when I'm starting a review late when the cats are gone. Cats are like, we're out of here. So it's almost 10 o'clock my time when I'm starting this review. So I'm going to apologize because it's going to be long. It's going to post late. Unless you're in Europe, in which case, good morning. So there you go. A lot of games tonight. There's only one game tomorrow. And then Saturday it gets busy again. So tomorrow I'll get into a video that I was going to do a couple games ago. Decided not to. And tomorrow I'll do it. We take a look at some stuff. And some things. So I had to make a decision tonight. We're going to start off with Pittsburgh and Boston. But I had to decide. So 7 games were starting at the same time. I'm not killing myself to watch 7 games. I'll say this too. I'm already feeling like, okay, this is good. Like, I was concerned about how many games were on Tuesday and being able to cover everything. And now tonight, the same amount of games. 1 hour extra spread between a couple of them. But basically the same situation. And I was kind of like, that's fine. This is good. So, the Bruins get an early power play in this one. Wagner would score after the power play was done at 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Made it 1-0 Boston. The Penguins then get a power play. CC would score after that power play was done from Rust and Bluger at 15:03. So Brian Rust continues his hot streak. But before the period's out, it's Corrali from Bjork at 18:53, and it's 2-1 Boston after 1. Second period, slow. This game was slow, and it was just, I don't know how else to put it. It was a very defensive chess match kind of game. The shots were 1-0 for the Penguins 7.5 minutes into the period, while there were 6 other games going on. So basically, anytime I switch this, I'm like, yep, they cleared it. All right, they cleared it, and they're at center ice. And, all right, let's go back to the other one. So Bergeron would score at 8 minutes and 13 seconds from Grzelcyk and Coyle. That made it 3-1 for Boston, and it didn't feel like Boston was going to allow 2 goals tonight. Boston has really turned this ship around. Early on in the season, they did not look good against New Jersey. And since that 2-game mini-series there, they've been much, much better. So Smith nearly made it 4-1 after that 3-1 goal. Momentum was picking up for the Bruins. The Penguins get a power play. With 3 minutes left in the second period, the shots were 5 apiece. So for that period, it was low shot game. The Penguins get a power play late. But they don't score on it. Third period, the Bruins have the early power play, and they score on it. It's Bergeron with the power play marker from Marchand and McAvoy at 1 minute and 40 seconds. That made it 4-1. And Boston takes it home. I think, with Pittsburgh, with the GM quitting and the way he went, apparently it's really shocked the organization from the top down. Mario didn't see it coming. We're now starting to hear, I read an article in The Athletic today about, we're starting to hear that Rutherford had been upset with some things that had happened in the offseason. He had been upset at various points, and basically he woke up on Tuesday and went, yeah, I'm done. And they gave him till Wednesday morning to think about it, and he went, no, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out of here. So there's a lot more to come out about Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh's 4-3-1. They're still above 500. Boston's now 5-1-1, looking very good. But for Pittsburgh, I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go. Apparently with the general manager, they're looking for, somebody who can help them win now. So I'm assuming they want somebody with a lot of experience. I don't know. It's a tough job. Turning this around in Pittsburgh is going to be rough. 3 stars in this one, all Boston. Bergeron, McAvoy, and Bjork. The shots, 9-6 Boston in the first, 7-5 Boston in the second, 6-4 Pittsburgh in the third. The shots were only 20-17 for Boston. Power plays, Pittsburgh 0 for 3, Boston 1 for 2. The hits favored Pittsburgh 26-20. Penalty minutes, Boston had more of those, 6-4. Faceoffs, Boston dominated. Bergeron's one of the reasons right there, 62.8% in the faceoff circle. Jari saved 16 out of 20. Halak saved 16 out of 17. And so for Boston, they get the win. And for Pittsburgh, there's some disarray going on here now. Next up, Rangers and Buffalo. This was a fun game. Now, if you're a Buffalo fan, you may feel slightly, unhappy about the result. But honestly, it was a pretty good game. Both teams played well. Both teams really needed the 2 points. And it was a 3-point game. So the shots are 5-1 Rangers at 3 minutes. Sabres get a power play. They don't score on it. And then it's Strome scoring for the Rangers from Panarin and Buchnevich at 9:44. And to that stage, control was almost all Rangers. They had a lot of puck control in the Buffalo end. Power play then for the Rangers. The Sabres got a power play with 4:03 left. They didn't score on it. However, in the last minute, Jack Eichel. So that's back-to-back games with goals for him. He scores from Reinhart at 19:38. So we go to the second period tied, and Buffalo had to feel somewhat fortunate it was tied. They were outshot badly in that first period. So we go to the second. Power play for the Rangers. Ullmark stopped a very good chance for Fox, and the shots were... the ratio was 3-1 in favor of the Rangers at this point. I think it was 18-6. 2 minutes then of 4-on-4 play, and then towards the end of the period, it's 3:50 till the end of the period, Panarin gets a goal at 16:10. The Sabres got a power play after that. They don't score on it. We go to the third. The Sabres get another power play early in the third, and they score on that one. Reinhart with the power play marker from Olofsson and Eichel at 4:47. That ties up the game. The Rangers got a power play with 9 minutes and 14 seconds left. Some really prime chances for the Rangers. The Sabres penalty kill couldn't clear. Ullmark robbed Zibanejad. This was the Ullmark show in this one. Things get kind of scrummy with 2:56 left. And during that scrum, Rooney was reaching over to try to hit one of the Sabres and punched a linesman. So it's accidental, but still, you don't want to be punching a linesman, whether it's accidental or not. And then the Sabres pressed with 2 minutes left, but we go to overtime. In the overtime, Shesterkin stopped a chance for Olofsson. The puck goes the other way. Blackwell passes it to Lafreniere. Lafreniere gets his first NHL goal. It's an overtime game winner for the Rangers at 2:47. Brings the record to 2-4-1. Drops Buffalo to 3-3-2. 3 stars are Panarin, Ullmark, and Lafreniere. Lafreniere, third star, and game-winning goal. Shots were 15-5 Rangers in the first, 9-4 Rangers in the second, and then they were 15-14 in favor of the Buffalo Sabres in the third. It was a shooting gallery out there. Shots were 1 apiece in the overtime, including the shot that matters by the Rangers. Final shots 39-25 for New York. Power plays the Rangers 0 for 3, Buffalo 1 for 4. The hits were 16 apiece. Penalty minutes, the Rangers had more at 10-8. Faceoffs, Buffalo won more faceoffs, 52.6%. Shesterkin, 23 saves on 25 shots. Ullmark, 36 saves on 39 shots. So if you're a Rangers fan, you got the first goal for Lafreniere, and you got a pretty good game from Shesterkin as well. So hitting some of those points you need the Rangers to hit for them to stay in the hunt. And who knows, maybe be a surprise team a couple weeks down the road. All right, next up, Philly and New Jersey. I feel bad for the Devils. This was one of the best games I've seen the Devils play, but Carter Hart said no. Basically, that's the best way to sum up this game. And for Philadelphia, big win. Shows that they have the starting goaltender they wanted. And yeah, Wedgwood was tested early in this one. Hughes line was generating chances. Another good game for Jack Hughes. The shots were 5-2 Devils at 6.5 minutes. And then Severson scores from Ryan Murray at 7 minutes and 11 seconds. So everything's falling in line for the Devils. However, Nate Prosser scores from Gustafsson and Hayes at 9:23. Prosser, one of the guys who hasn't played in the NHL in a while, is getting a chance. In between all the injuries and the COVID protocols and everything else, we're seeing some names we haven't seen for a while. Churchman was in the lineup for Pittsburgh as another example. This is just, we're seeing guys who are basically AHL players getting called up and playing and doing well, as Prosser did here. Hart then stopped a chance for Janssen. The Devils get a power play. They don't score on it. We go to the second. The Devils get another power play early in that second period. Hart was the only reason this game was tied, because New Jersey was in full control. The Devils had a 3-on-2 that went wide. The Flyers had a total of 6 shots halfway through the game. 6 shots in 30 minutes. The power play for the Flyers happens, doesn't score. Devils get another power play. And it was a really dominant 20 minutes of hockey for the New Jersey Devils. But it's tied going into the third period. So even though they've outshot Philadelphia 24-8 going into the third, and everything feels great for them, they're still not ahead. And early in that period, it's Raffle from Bunneman and Obey-Kubel at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Had to be a gut punch for New Jersey that they had, dominated this game and now they were behind by 1. And then it's Giroux from Gustafsson and Voracek at 6 minutes and 26 seconds. That makes it 3-1 for the Flyers. Power play for the Devils. It's their fourth. Subban then guilty of a hook that made it 4-on-4 for 1 minute and 4 seconds. They did pull the goalie with 2 minutes left. The Flyers didn't get the empty netter, but the Devils didn't get a goal to get any closer. The 3 stars in this one, Hart, Giroux, and Gustafsson. Shots were 14-4 New Jersey in the first, 10-4 New Jersey in the second, 10-9 New Jersey in the third, as Flyers kind of woke up in that third period. Final shots 34-17 in favor of New Jersey. Power plays, Philadelphia 0-for-2, New Jersey 0-for-4. Hits, 14 apiece. Penalty minutes, Philadelphia had 8, New Jersey had 4. Face-offs, 73.6% won by Philadelphia. Hart saves 33 out of 34. Wedgwood saved 14 out of 17. They do miss Mackenzie Blackwood. This is a game where you can look at the result and say, maybe if Mackenzie Blackwood's in there, it's a little bit different. Wedgwood's trying his best. He's a good goaltender. He's not Blackwood. All right, moving on. Islanders. What happened here? Like, you know, when I'm trying to watch as much hockey as possible, I will say, okay, so I'm going to drop that game because it's a lopsided game. This was a lopsided game. And I'm checking my phone. I'm keeping up. And I'm like, what? Wait, what's going on? All right, so they can't. It's the Islanders, right? They have this great trapping, and nope. Not tonight, they didn't. So it was a quiet first 5 minutes. The shots were 2 apiece. That's an Islanders-style game. The Islanders were boxing out the Caps' chances. The shots were 4-2 for the Caps at 8 minutes. I don't know how strong those shots were necessarily. But Wahlstrom gets his first. There you go, Wahlstrom on the board. Pajot with the assist at 9:50. And then 18 seconds later, it's Cizikas from Clutterbuck. So it's a big 2-0 lead for the Islanders. The Caps tried to answer. There was a power play for the Islanders. We then get 29 seconds of 4-on-4 play. The Islanders go back to the power play, and they score on it. It's Anders Lee with the power play marker from Barzal and Dobson at 17:39. It's 3-0 Islanders after the first period. 3-0 after the first period. Second period, the shots were 5-3 for the Islanders 6.5 minutes in, and I wrote right here on the board, right here, looks like Caps' first regulation loss. And I didn't even have a question mark at the end of that. Just, yeah, looks like it's their first regulation loss, which is understandable. There's a lot of players out of the lineup, a lot of injuries, and just, you know, the protocols and everything else. It's understandable that the Capitals are going to lay an egg here, and it's going to happen. They're not going to stay undefeated in regulation. So Sherry scores from Carlson and Dillon at 7:07. All right. Then Sherry scores again from Hagelin or from Chara and Panic at 10:20. So it's 3-2. Well, batten down the hatches. You're the Islanders. Nope. Hathaway from Hagelin and Dowd at 11:11. So over 4 minutes and 4 seconds, it goes from a 3-0 lead from the Islanders to 3-3. So, yeah. Then the Capitals get a power play. They score on it. Carlson with the goal from Schultz and Backstrom at 14:16. They've now scored 4 goals in a little over 7 minutes. Can't do it again. Sure they can. Chara scores his first as a Capital from Schultz and Scarboza at 18 minutes and 30 seconds. They score 5 goals in about 11.5 minutes. It was a 3-0 lead for the Islanders, and it's been flipped. So third period. Shots were 4-0 Islanders 9 minutes in. The Islanders get a late power play as well. They pulled the goalie. They actually had a 6-on-4 during that power play with about 3 minutes left. However, they don't get the goal on the power play, and with the goalie on the bench, Tom Wilson gets the empty netter from Oshie and Backstrom at 19:41. The Capitals score 6 in a row. They win this one 6-3. For the Islanders, they drop to 3-4. The Capitals are now 5-0-3. Over here, New Jersey's 3-3-1. Philadelphia's 5-2-1. Apologies for not mentioning the record at the end of that one. But yeah, 3 stars, Sherry, Chara, and Carlson. Shots were 10-8 Islanders in the first, 14-9 Capitals in the second, and then in the third they decided to only get the shot on net into the empty net. They got outshot 11-1 in the third. Final shots 30-23 in favor of the Islanders. Power plays, the Islanders 1-for-3, Washington 2-for-3. So the penalty kill is what undoes the Islanders tonight, on top of allowing 6 in a row. 6. Hits 19-14 for the Islanders. The penalty minutes 16-6 in favor of the Islanders. Face-offs 55.4% for the Islanders. So they were ahead in both the good and the bad categories. Varlamov saved 17 out of 22. It is statistically his worst game of the season. And Vanacek, After allowing 3 goals on 10 shots in the first period, he allowed nothing on the next 20. He still comes out of tonight with a .900 save percentage. Not too shabby. That said, I need to change boards. All right, next slate of 4 games. We've got Tampa Bay and Carolina. Carolina playing their first game in a little over a week. And they're looking at Tampa Bay on the other side of the ice, the team that has won 3 of the first 4 games they've played this season. So there was an early power play for the Bolts. But, however, really solid penalty killing by Lawrence in this game. Lawrence, very prominent for the Canes in a good way in this, even though he doesn't get on the board. Well, he gets on my board, but not on the score sheet. The Canes get a power play. Aho with a post. He got another shot at it, and he missed the net on the second opportunity. Mrazek made some big stops there. The shots were 7-5 Canes at 11 minutes. And in the last minute, Tampa Bay got a power play. There were a lot of shots in this game, and there were a lot of good shots in this game. You look at the score, and you're probably thinking, well, it probably wasn't a very exciting game. There was a lot going on in this one. Second period, Tampa looked to have too many men on the ice on one play, but they didn't call it. I believe that was during their power play. It was close. It was close. I'll defer to the linesman. It looked like one of those things where, wait, he just jumped on and grabbed the puck. Is there too many men there? So, Vasilevsky making some really big saves, and through 24 minutes of this game, 27 combined saves were made. By the end of that period, we had seen a total of 43 shots and no goals. So a lot of shots, no goals, both Mrazek and Vasilevsky playing really, really well. Third period, the Canes started it on the power play. Trocheck had a chance that wouldn't go. They end up with another power play. Tampa Bay then got their power play chance. Mrazek robbed Coleman. Tampa Bay had chances with 6 minutes left, and Stamkos had a good chance that went high. So we went to overtime, and it doesn't last very long. Carolina, right off the opening faceoff, make it clear they want the 2 points. They need the 2 points. They're hungry for the 2 points, and they get them. Marty Necas with the goal from Jordan Staal and Dougie Hamilton at 1:12. So nice to see Staal back in the lineup, and he gets an assist on the game winner. Nice pass, too. So 1-0 win for Carolina. They go to 3-1. Tampa drops to 3-1-1. Mrazek, Necas, and Vasilevsky are your 3 stars. The shots: 15-7 Carolina in the first, 11-10 or 14-7 in favor of Tampa in the second, 11-10 Tampa in the third, 3-0 Carolina in the overtime. Final shots: 35-32 for Carolina. Tampa Bay's 0-for-3 on the power play. Carolina's 0-for-4. Hits: 27-25 for Tampa. Penalty minutes: 8-6 for Tampa. Face-offs: 50.9% in favor of Tampa. So they have the whole thing right there too. Vasilevsky, 34 saves on 35 shots. Peter Mrazek, 32 saves for his 23rd career shutout. Mrazek's off to a very good start. And despite having all that time off, Carolina didn't look shaky. They didn't look like they were having any problems. They looked quite good, and Mrazek probably really enjoyed the time off. I mean, not enjoying why, but likely it was kind of nice to have that time off because the season is crazy. Right now, Koskinen's saying, can I have like a minute off somewhere, somehow, please? Just anything? Please? No? Okay. Next up, Florida and Columbus. This game went back and forth, and I just had the feeling that Columbus was probably not going to lose this one. But Florida came into tonight undefeated. They're still undefeated in regulation. So, shots were 2-2 at 6 minutes. They were also even at 10 minutes in, so very evenly played game. Mikko Koivu with his first as a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets from Robinson and Kukan at 17:03. And then in the last minute, Columbus gets a power play. They don't score on it. This was not a game either that had a lot of penalties. You'll notice penalty minute totals are low in almost every game tonight. Second period, they mentioned before the drop of the puck that the hits were 18-3 for Columbus in that first period. The hits would drop precipitously for Columbus for the rest of the game. Penalty kill held to start the second period. Elvis to Hornquist almost costs Columbus. So like Elvis out there playing the puck, it goes right to Patrick Hornquist in front of the net. I'm still not sure how that didn't go in. There was 4-on-4 play, some good end-to-end action during that play. And then Verhaeghe gets another one. Like, Verhaeghe's a goal-scoring machine, and here's Tampa getting shut out, and there's Verhaeghe scoring the goals. Duclair with the assist at 17-14, and at the same time, there was a high stick on Del Zotto that went uncalled. So before that puck's in the net, Florida should have had a penalty for high stick. They didn't, so it was fine. These things happen. It's one of those things that happens. Panthers end up getting a power play before the end of the second period. They don't score on it. Third period, we had 2 minutes of 4-on-4 play again. Columbus ends up with a power play, and who scores? At 6:19, it's Max Domi on the power play with his first as a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets, and was right off the face-off. Columbus then gets another power play. They don't score on it. And then Luostarinen ends up getting a goal from Stralman and Nudavara at 12:56. So Marcus Nudavara in a game against Columbus ends up getting in on the game-tying goal. So we go to overtime. In the overtime, few chances. However, Columbus broke up a good chance for the Florida Panthers in overtime. We go to a shootout. Your shootout winner? Texier. Texier gets the shootout winner, and the Columbus Blue Jackets defeat Florida in the shootout 3-2, get the record to 3-2-3. Columbus games need to just start in overtime. This is a conversation we had last season. We're having it again this season. Just start their games in overtime. Just start 3-on-3, and because you're going to get there anyways. And for Florida, the record's now 3-0-1, and they move on. 3 stars, Merzlikins, Domi, and Texier, which is one of the reasons why 3 stars drives me insane. All 3 of them are Columbus players, even though it went to a shootout. Shots in this game, 12-9 Columbus in the first, 15-13 Florida in the second, 9-5 Florida in the third. In the overtime, Florida had 2 shots to the 1 by Columbus. Final shots, 35-31 for Florida. Power plays, Florida 0 for 1, Columbus 1 for 3. Hits, 27-18 for Columbus. Penalty minutes, 10-6 in favor of Florida. And in favor, I mean they had more penalty minutes, obviously. Face-offs, 54.4% in favor of Florida. Drieger saved 29 out of 31, has another really good game. Merzlikins, 33 saves on 35 shots. Very good game for him. Both of them bringing their goaltending stats up. And it feels like goal scoring is starting to drop, which you can expect with divisional games, and now teams are getting into their systems. They know these other teams pretty well, and so I would expect scoring to probably drop as we get further and further into the season. All right, next up. If you're a Flames fan, I don't know what to say other than they should be getting wins they're not. And I'm not saying that the Toronto game is an example of a game they should have won, but if they showed up in the first period, they might have. Tonight, I don't know, it felt like they were out playing Montreal, and then Montreal would get a goal. As a fan of Vancouver, I know how this works. Montreal's doing this regularly, and they're still undefeated in regulation. So when we're talking about who the best team is in Canada, to me it's still between Montreal and Toronto. And we'll find out when they play each other, 28 times? It's going to feel like that. We'll find out which one's the best. Riddick's first start of the season, and I thought he was shaky. I thought Riddick was part of the issue for Calgary tonight. And Price in the net for the Habs, he was pretty darn good. Flames had chances 7.5 minutes in. The Habs get a power play. They score on it. It's Gallagher with the nice pass from Perry. Kotkaniemi with the other assist at 10:07. Again, Corey Perry, he comes in off the taxi squad. He gets goal in his first game. Now he gets an assist in this one. Lindholm then had a chance that went wide. And then there was an own goal where the puck was going wide, but it goes off a Calgary stick in front of the net and into the net. And so the goal is credited on the power play to Weber from Petrie and Drouin at 15:39. Johnny Gaudreau then had a chance that hit the crossbar because that's how the night was going for Calgary. Last minute pressure then by the Flames, but it's 2-0 Montreal coming out of that first period. Second period, Anderson would score to make it 3-0 from Kotkaniemi and Drouin at 8:21. So Kotkaniemi and Drouin are on the board a couple of times, and the players that you want to see scoring for Montreal, they are. And they're doing really well at this whole goal scoring thing that Montreal has had challenges with over the last few years at times. So Price was stopping every shot at this stage. The Flames get a late power play. And then Suzuki with a nice alley-oop pass over top of everybody right to Toffoli, and Toffoli put it through Riddick. You want to see Riddick stop that. There's 25 seconds left in the second period. They're already down 3-0. You really need to get a stop from Riddick there. They don't. The Flames take a penalty then in the closing seconds. So it's 4-0 Montreal after 2. It does not look good for Calgary. Third period. Shots were 2-1 for the Habs at the halfway mark. So this was a sit back, play defense. Habs can do that all day long. The Flames are in trouble, and I don't necessarily mean this game. I just mean in general. They are now 2-3-1, and they seem to be just getting into some bad habits. And each game you can point out something that is troubling. In this case, it's a cross between Riddick, the shorthanded goal, the coverage on that, just little things that they're missing on. Power play then for the Flames, and it works. And their power play connects twice in the last couple of minutes. So this is a positive you can take out of this game going into the next one. Bennett would score the first power play marker from Lucic and Ryan at 18:42. And then it's Rasmus Andersson with the second power play marker from Gaudreau and Lindholm at 19:37. So Price doesn't get the shutout. And Calgary gets this to a 4-2 score. They're not going to win it, obviously. Because even when they scored with minute and 18 left, I'm like, well, they're not going to score 4 goals in a minute and 15. But at least they showed a little bit of fight at the end. We'll see if that carries over at all. I don't really believe in carryovers, but we'll see. 3 stars, Drouin, Kotkaniemi, and Suzuki. Suzuki's on the board again. Shots, 9-8 in favor of Calgary in the first, 11-7 Montreal in the second, 9-2 Calgary in the first. Don't make me praise Suzuki because I'll do it. Shots, 25-21 in favor of Calgary overall. Again, they played a good game, but the score will tell you otherwise. Power plays, Calgary 1-for-4, Montreal 2-for-3. So you want a big difference maker. That power play for Montreal comes through again. Hits, 26-18 in favor of Calgary. The penalty minutes, Montreal had more. They had 15-13 from Calgary. 50.9% face-offs for Montreal, so close to even. Riddick saved 17 out of 21. Price saved 23 out of 25. Riddick doesn't really make the case that he needs more starts. Doesn't show that he's going to push Markstrom for the starting position. It's not going great right now for Calgary. All right, next up, LA and Minnesota. This was a very entertaining game, and I made a point. Of making sure I watched parts of this game because I didn't when they met each other on Tuesday. And apparently I watched the far more entertaining game. Not necessarily if you're a Kings fan, though. You may have a different opinion of that. Oh, Montreal's 5-0-2 now. So, early, it's Johansson with a goal from Bonino and Soucy at 3:33. The Kings pressed at 6.5 minutes. But Fiala, the other way, scores his third in 4 games at 8:17, and it's 2-0 Minnesota. They're not done. Kaprizov then scores from Johansson and Cole at 12:55. And then the Wild pressed for another. They just kept going. Like they were just so put out by losing their last game against LA. They wanted to show, hey, we're better than LA. We can beat these guys. And they did really well. And the pressure actually drew a Wild power play. Now, Kopitar had a shorthanded chance. Ends up going wide. The Wild nearly got one with 2 minutes left. But they're up 3-0 after 1. So what could sideline them? What could cause them trouble? Penalties. Lots and lots of penalties. They took an early power play for the Kings. They actually had 2 early power plays. And Brown would score at 3:19 from Kopitar and Doughty. That is a power play marker. Makes it 3-1. The Wild got their chance on the power play. But then Fiala with a boarding call that's 5 in a game. We'll see if Department of Player Safety does anything about it. Or if they say, well, the game, that was enough. We'll see. But I'm pretty sure 5 in a game for boarding automatically goes to Department of Player Safety. And then they rule on it. So we'll see what they do. But during that 5-minute power play, Doughty scores from Kopitar and Amadio at 9:07. They'd almost killed it off. And I think they were like 3.5, almost 4 minutes into killing it off when that goal goes in. So it's 3-2, and it's dicey. However, within the last 2 minutes of that period, Bjugstad scores from Brodin and Parisi at 18:38. So that made it 4-2 going into the third period. Third period, Wild power play. Lots of penalties in this game. I don't know how to describe the penalties other than there seemed to be a lot of power plays back and forth. Walker took a puck to the face, which just looked ugly. He exited the game, and it was the Wild that immediately called the referee's attention and got the whistle blown. Like there was no, we're not continuing this play. So to me, it looked like we could be looking at a broken jaw. I don't think it hit him in the nose. If it did, it would have broken his nose for sure. I didn't see teeth on the ice, but it's possible. There was a lot of blood. Took a while to clean it up. And you could tell that both the Wild and the Kings were shaken up by that play. It took a little while to get things going again. Because I think this is where not having fans in attendance probably makes that worse. you don't have that distraction of the fans trying to get you riled up after that. You have that image of Walker going down. So yeah, but after everything's all cleaned up and we get back to the action, the Wild add to their lead again. It's Eriksson from Brodin and Greenway at 4:44, so that made it 5-2. That's the breathing room that Minnesota needed. Things get scrummy at 5 minutes. After that shot on Walker, it's possible that they may not have liked it. The Wild end up coming out of that with a power play. The Kings then get a power play. They score on its Iafallo, scoring from Brown and Clegg at 9:41. So that made it 5-3. They pulled the goalie with 2 minutes and 35 seconds left, but no doing. Not going to happen. So the Kings fall to 3-3-2. The Wild go to 5-3. So they're 2 games above 500. We'll see how their games go in the coming days. But it's surprising, when you think about it. We got into the season 15 days ago, and a lot of teams have already played 8 games. And it's going to get busier for a lot of teams from here. Like, this schedule is brutal. 3 stars in this one: Eriksson, Brodin, and Doughty. So 2 of the 3 are from Minnesota. The shots were 10-6 Minnesota in the first, 15-12 LA in the second, 14-6 LA in the third. Final shots 35-28 in favor of the Kings. The Kings go 2 for 7 on the power play. Minnesota goes 0 for 4. Hits were 10-9 Minnesota, so low hit game. 30-13 were the penalty minutes in favor of Minnesota, including that 5 in a game for Fiala, which will definitely skew those numbers. Face-offs 54% in favor of LA. Jonathan Quick, 23 saves on 28 shots. He did not have a sharp game. Quick, there were a couple of those, especially the Eriksson goal, that I was like, he really needs to make that stop there. And Kakkonen, 32 saves on 35 shots. Another good start for the kid. So there you go. They win that, and now I have to change boards. See, it's right about now as we get into board number 3 out of 4 that people are going to be saying, seriously, where are the cats? They're sleeping in the bedroom. They're done. This is the time of night now where Vaughn's down watching TV and they're sleeping in the bedroom. So it's the only time where they're not following me around during the day because they figure I'm in there. Now, Bear wakes up, she may come in here. Because she'll be like, what are you doing? Every now and then she'll come in and meow at me if I'm not in there when she thinks I should be. So, for people who use the timestamp to get here to hear about Dallas and Detroit, I apologize. Let's go. So this was the score makes it look a lot more lopsided than I think it really was. It's one of those games that's going to be frustrating for Detroit fans because you're watching this and going, I swear we're better than last year, but the goals against tell you you're not. The record is now 2-5-1. Dallas is 4-0. That would tell you that it's looking a lot like last season for Detroit. But if you're a fan saying, I think things are better, I agree with you. I think things are better for Detroit. It's just not showing up in wins. The Rave jerseys. Now, they're calling them the blackout jerseys. Come on, they're Rave jerseys. Love them. And they look great on TV. I think they're easy to read on TV. I think the bright green on a black background works. We've had some of these I call them color rush jerseys. It's like a color rush idea, though they're almost always black. But sometimes the number and the name on the back don't show up very well, so it might be really hard for announcers to see it. I think with those ones, it's relatively easy. Shots were 3-2 Wings at 5 minutes. The Stars pressured. They get themselves power play. Bernier, another solid start at the beginning. Pavelski, however, would score from Caro and Heiskanen at 11:36. Tanner Caro is another one of those guys. Has not been in the NHL in a long time. Comes in tonight. Did a pretty good job. Actually gets into the 3 stars. And it was a nice cross-crease pass to the goal, too. So Pavelski off to this amazing start. One of the best starts of his entire career. Power play then for the Wings. 45 seconds later, it's 4-on-4, and the Wings got a power play in the last minute. The Wings had a lot of power plays in this game to the point where Dallas fans were upset. The Dallas announcers were getting ticked off. And some of them seemed a little ticky-tack, but this is just the way that the game's being called right now. Second period. Cogliano scores from Dowling and Gurianov at 7:56. Andrew Cogliano has reached 400 points. And I was mildly surprised that Cogliano has 400 points. Because we don't talk about his offense. So I think that's impressive for a guy who's basically been a defensive forward for most of his career. That was a turnover at the Wings end that led to that goal. But to their credit, the Wings don't give up. They don't roll over. Filppula scores from Mantha and Stetcher at 11:59. I think that's Stetcher's first point as a Red Wing. Things get kind of scrummy after that. However, Gurianov restores the 2-goal lead at 14:45. And the puck went in and I've got on the board here as Mantha kills Bernier. And it was just Mantha gets tangled up with Stars player and ends up crashing right into Bernier. They did a review to see if Mantha was shoved into his own goaltender by the Dallas player. I think it was Dowling that got tied up in that. But it looked rough. It really looked rough. The Wings end up with a power play, but in the third period, Greiss was in. Now, whether this was due to the injury or not, because he got crashed into pretty hard by Mantha, well, we'll see what news of the day brings us tomorrow, right? Third period, Alexiak gets a goal, which I thought was off of Radulov, but last I checked, they still give the goal to Alexiak. Heiskanen and Carroll with the assists at 4:18, so Carroll with 2 assists. Power play then for the Wings, and they score. This is what I'm talking about. Detroit didn't give up. Bertuzzi scores from Hronik and Larkin at 7:26. They then got their 7th power play. On that 7th power play, they were dangerous. No great chances on it, but they looked dangerous. And then De Keyser would score from Rasmussen and Juice at 13:04, and that goal kind of came out of nowhere. At least to me, it kind of came out of nowhere. And it was concerning because you have Ottinger in net playing his first game, and you're going to have rookie jitters with or without fans and attendance, and in Dallas they had some. So then the Stars get a power play and they score on it. So the Stars power play continues. This is game 4. They scored a power play goal in all 4 of their games. Dellandrea with his first from Heiskanen and Radulov at 14:52. This was Radulov making up for the fact that he was taking penalties tonight. He took 2 of the 7 that led to power plays for Detroit. And then it's an empty netter by Dowling with Dickinson and Gurianov with the assists at 17:24. So that made it 6-3. They put Greiss back in net, and then they scored again. Klingberg scores from Dellandrea at 18:29, so tied Dellandrea with 2 points in the third period, and Klingberg, just to put icing on the cake, scores to make it 7-3. And yeah, that's your final. And I thought that score was kind of mean to Detroit because I thought they played better than that. The 3 Stars, Heiskanen, Gurianov, and Carroll. Dallas outshot Detroit 11-5 in the first, 8-7 in the second, so things evened up. And then Detroit outshot them 11-10 in the third. Final shots 29-23 in favor of Dallas. Power plays, Detroit 1 for 7, Dallas 1 for 3. Hits 14-8 in favor of Dallas. Penalty minutes 14-6 in favor of Dallas. Face-offs were 50-50. So that's nice. Bernier saved 16 out of 19 before Greiss came in and saved 6 out of 9. Ottinger saved 20 out of 23 for his first NHL win. And until tonight, he hadn't allowed a goal in his entire career. It's a very short career, but still. All right, moving along. San Jose and Colorado. This is another one. If you just look at the score and you look at when the goals went in, you'd say, it wasn't a very good game. And the first period was kind of slow. The shots were 1-0 for the Sharks at 6 minutes. They get a power play. They also had another power play during that first period. They weren't generating a ton, but they also weren't allowing a lot. So the shots were low, and it feels like if San Jose is going to at some point get a win over these guys, they have to keep the shots low. Second period, the Avs push at 3 minutes. Donskoy ends up hitting a post. Donskoy likes playing against the Sharks. Better period, I thought, for the Avs than the first. The shots were 7-5 in their favor with 5 minutes left, and then they had a lot of chances in that last 5 minutes. Byram had one that went high. Kane took a penalty. Avs go to their second power play, and then in the last minute of that period, they had their third power play. So that allowed them to generate some shots and some opportunities, and definitely some momentum going to the third period. In the third period, shots are 5-0 for the Avs at 3.5 minutes. They are bound and determined to get through the wall that was Devan Dubnyk tonight. Burakovsky was denied by Dubnyk. Posts were Dubnyk's ally tonight. Shots are 9-5 in favor of the Avs at 9 minutes. So Colorado doing everything. And then at 9:55, they break through. It's Kadri scoring one from Donskoy and Saad. That's a line they want to see get going for Colorado. That ended their frustrations. Burns was then on the limp, but he was okay. He got kicked, and it looked like he got kicked in the ankle, but it looked like it was where the shin guard is, so okay, because if that had kicked where it was bare skin, who knows, right? Skate blade and all. Burakovsky would then score from Kadri and Saad at 11:53. So in 2 minutes, this goes from a scoreless game and some kind of nail-biting to, well, they're not blowing that. And then the Avs pressed for another. They just kept going. They were just so bound and determined to, we're not letting this one go tonight. With 3:28 left, the Sharks get a power play. They pulled the goalie with 2:50 left to get a 6-on-4. Grubauer denied Couture. Grubauer wasn't tested a ton tonight, but in the third period, he made some big saves when he had to. And then it's a power play marker, as they did get a power play late. Kadri from Makar and McKinnon at 18:54. So Nazem Kadri with 2 goals and an assist. You'll notice there's a blank space under 3 stars because I've waited all this time. And last I looked, it still just says nothing. And then when you look on the app under the game summary, it just says San Jose's, just SJ for the first 2 or 3 stars. I assume they were picking the 3 stars. And I assume they went out drinking the same as I did the last game. Because sure. Shots, 7-6 San Jose in the first, 12-6 Colorado in the second, 20-8 Colorado in the third. Like I said, they were not being denied. Final shots, 38-21 for Colorado. Power play, San Jose 0 for 4, Colorado 1 for 4. Hits, 15-12 San Jose. Both teams had 8 penalty minutes. Faceoffs favored Colorado, 55.2%. Dubnyk saves 35 out of 38. Grubauer saved all 21 shots for his 13th career shutout. If I was naming 3 stars, it'd be Nazem Kadri, Brandon Saad, and Devan Dubnyk. So there you go. That's just my 2 cents. Next up, Anaheim in against Arizona. And this is one of those games that, again, Anaheim was leaning heavily on their goaltender. And at some point, that's just not going to work. And it didn't tonight. So Anaheim ends up 3-3-2. Arizona's up to 3-4-1. And with San Jose now at 3-5, they pass San Jose. Colorado now at 5-3. They've got some breathing room at the top. Silverberg would score early, and it sort of looked like the last game. Because he scores unassisted at 3:16, much like Heinen scored unassisted in the first game. And this was a period that Arizona kind of controlled. The Ducks had a power play. Gibson denied Keller in that first period. But Gibson was a more busy goaltender. And yet, Anaheim's up 1-0 after 1. And Arizona committed tonight not having scored a goal in a while. Second period, early Coyotes power play. Kessel had a chance that went wide, but at 7:43, the suffering is over for Arizona fans. Dvorak scores from Brassard and Chychrun. It had been 148 minutes and 42 seconds of game time since their last goal. Coyotes then tried for the lead. The momentum was all in their favor. They end up with a power play. Garland had a chance that went high. The Ducks just weren't getting it out of their zone. Every time, and again, I'm switching between games. Every time I went to this game, it was in Anaheim's end. And I was legit asking, are they getting out? Anaheim, they're not getting... And if they had it behind their own net, they would just try to dump it along the boards, and Arizona would just intercept it. So there really wasn't any kind of pass completion going on for Anaheim either. Gibson stopped Chychrun, and then things get kind of scrummy in the final minute. There was a lot of that going on. Not a lot of penalties out of it, though, in the games tonight. Third period, Keller would score from Garland and Osterley at 52 seconds. So they take the lead in the first minute of that third period, and that felt very important. Then there was another game where the Ducks aren't generating enough chances, not enough shots. They're just not getting them. Then they get a power play, and they score. And who gets it? Danton Heinen. Power play marker from Fowler and Steele at 8:57. So that made it 2-2. The momentum had shifted to Anaheim for the only time in this game that I saw. They were generating really good opportunities. The Coyotes got a power play with 7:41 left. They then had a 5-on-3 for 23 seconds. They don't score on it. In fact, Kevin Shattenkirk comes out of the box, and he had a breakaway that was saved by Kemper. So when you look at the 3 stars and you go, I don't know that the numbers back that up. Kemper saved the game right there. Dvorak would score on that power play from Kessel and Schmaltz at 15:34 to give Arizona the lead. But if that shorthanded goal had gone in, we'd have a completely different game. Garland was involved in every scrum tonight. Clearly got under the skin of the Anaheim Ducks. Then we get some 4-on-4 out of that. The goaltender gets pulled late, but Anaheim can't generate that tying goal. Your 3 stars, Dvorak, Kemper, and Keller. I have no issue with that because they were all solid. Shots were 12-8 in the first in favor of Arizona, 12-1 in the second. 1 shot for Anaheim 1. Keep in mind, in a game, if a guy dumps it in from center ice and it goes to the goaltender in the net, that does count as a shot. And then 11-7 Arizona in the third. Final shots 35-16. Anaheim's only 3-3-2 because of Gibson. They'd be probably at least as bad as what Detroit is, and maybe as bad as Ottawa. We will talk about Ottawa. But yeah, that was rough. And then power plays, Anaheim 1 for 2, Arizona 1 for 5. If you're not generating shots, you're not generating pressure, you're not getting power plays. Hits were 26-18 in favor of Arizona, which is also surprising. So not only did Anaheim not get the shots, they weren't generating the hits when they didn't have the puck. Penalty minutes, 12-6 in favor of Anaheim. Faceoffs, 56.6% for Arizona. Gibson, 31 saves on 34 shots. Kemper, 14 saves on 16 shots. And there you go. All right. Next up, one of the last games, Toronto and Edmonton. And this game was fantastic. Loved this game. The shots were 2-0 Leafs at 4 minutes. Anderson robbed Draisaitl, and it looked like this was going to be a low opportunity game, maybe. Shots were 6-3 for the Oilers at 8 minutes. So in 4 minutes, the shots switched. The Oilers outshot them 6-1 over those next 4 minutes. The Leafs pressed, and it's Spezza scoring his first of the year from Travis Boyd at 9:29. The Oilers get a power play. Simmons nearly got one after that power play was over, and then it's Nylander making it 2-0 from Tavares and Spezza at 18:22. So Spezza on the board a couple of times. And that was as the Leafs power play had ended. So the door's open. You can see in the replay. The door's open for the guy to come out, and Nylander put it in there. So technically, the power play was over, but guy wasn't on the ice yet. So we go to the second period. Power play for the Oilers. Marner gets a shorthanded chance during that power play. Doesn't go. Yamamoto had a shot high and wide. Anderson stopped a chance for Neal. Muzzin had a chance that went wide. And another Oilers power play. And then the Leafs were down 5-on-3 for a minute and a half late in this period. And what's funny is, during that second power play, they played the music from the World Junior Championship from last year that drove Gord Miller completely mental, because they would play that penalty minute music, or that penalty music every single power play. And so they're playing it, and him and Ray Ferraro both seem to be traumatized to hear it. I'm not sure if it's only in Edmonton. I know there's other TSN games I've watched where that music is played. I don't know if it's only Edmonton. It might be, but it might not be. So that's a 5-on-3. And there was a post for Draisaitl, and as I'm writing this down, then he scores. So if you're going to hit the post, make sure you score on the next one. So 5-on-3 gets the goal from McDavid and Nurse at 18 minutes and 11 seconds. That made it 2-1 as we go to the third period. There was a delay of game call in the Oilers. They disagreed, and I don't know. It's weird because it's one of those things that the announcers point out, and I'm like, really? So the puck goes over the glass, right? But it landed on the bench. And what Gord Miller said was, if the puck goes over the glass, but it lands on the bench, it's not supposed to be a penalty. I've never heard that. So to me, if it's puck over the glass, it's over the glass. So that was odd. So the Leafs end up getting a power play while the Oilers weren't happy. Kerfoot takes his third penalty. The Oilers get a power play out of that. And then Draisaitl scores on the power play again. So that's the second power play marker of the game from McDavid and Barry at 7 minutes. So Tyson Barrie gets on the board on the power play. A power play he was taken off of a couple games back. And it's against Toronto that he gets the power play assist. The Leafs then got a power play, and they got it back. And credit to the Leafs for this, too. It's Simmons in front of the net tipping it in. Marner and Riley with the assists at 7:56. So Mitch Marner continues his amazing run of point scoring. But not long after that, it's Zach Kassian with his first of the year. Turris and Larson with the assists at 11 minutes and 11 seconds. So Kassian, Turris, Larson. Name 3 guys who've been struggling offensively for the Oilers. Makes sense. Turris on the board, Kassian on the board. Kassian started the year on the McDavid line and has been dropped down through the year. Again, this is Kassian. He is a hot and cold player. The Leafs got another power play. They scored again. So the penalty killing lets Edmonton down late in this game. Matthews scores from Brody and Kerfoot at 13:36. That made it 4-3. Koskinen then denied Marner. Koskinen has played every single minute of all 9 games for the Oilers. So I know there's going to be people who say, well, Koskinen's not really good enough. I feel horrible for Mikko Koskinen because he is playing a ton during a season where the schedule is a lot busier than it normally would be. This is already his 9th game. So they pull the goalie. They had a 6-on-4 because Nylander takes a penalty with 2:52 left. They called a timeout with 12.7 seconds left. Could not get that tying marker. And I was expecting it. I had the little board all set up. I'm like, this is going to overtime. I'm going to need the little board. I didn't. I kind of got everything squashed in that corner. 3 stars are Spezza, Draisaitl, and Nylander. Shots were 11 apiece in the first period, 8-4 Toronto in the second, and then 12-10 Edmonton in the third. Final shots 29-27 in favor of the Oilers. Power plays, Edmonton goes 1 for 4, Toronto goes 2 for 7. So again, special teams that were the bread and butter of the Oilers last season haven't been as successful this season. Hits 24-18 in favor of Toronto. Penalty minutes 14-8 in favor of Toronto. And your faceoffs 52.9% in favor of the Oilers. Anderson saves 26 out of 29. And over here in this column all by himself is Mikko Koskinen with 23 saves on 27 shots. Now we're going to the last game of the night. The Ottawa Senators versus Vancouver Canucks is a bad matchup for Ottawa. Ottawa comes out of Vancouver with nothing. They are outscored 12-3. Was it 12 or was it 16? It was 16. 16-3. Dear Lord. Vancouver evens the record at 5-5. The Senators are now 1-6-1. And that sound you hear is both DJ Smith and Pierre Dorion pacing as they wonder about their jobs. This is the year that Eugene Melnyk expect things to get better, and they're getting worse. I swear, this is worse than last year. This is abysmal. And in the Canadian division, it's not going to get easier for Ottawa. Vancouver should have been the team that they hung with, and instead they gave Vancouver all of the momentum. So it's Murray versus Holtby. Holtby's best game of the season was today. As Canucks goaltending, the Canucks defensive numbers, everything the Canucks had been concerned with coming into this 3-game set with Ottawa, it's sterling coming out of this 3-game set with Ottawa. At least in the 3-game set. Overall, it's still basically mediocre, but much better than it was. Early saves by both goalies. Senators take a power play. Senators take a penalty. The Canucks go to the power play. Brock Besser from Miller and Hughes at 5:30, so I ran upstairs and did the pose, and for the wife, because I always do the Brock Besser thing whenever he gets a goal. Senators then get a power play. They don't score on that power play, and then it's Pettersson scoring from Besser and Hughes at 10:49. So Besser's going. Hughes has got a ton of points. He's leading the NHL's defenseman in scoring right now. Pettersson's suddenly hot again. For the first time this season. It's 2-0 Vancouver after 1. So second period. 4 minutes and 32 seconds in. Brock Besser with his second from Pettersson and Holtby. And it's post and in. And I believe in 6 games against Matt Murray in Besser's career. He's got 8 goals. He loves playing Matt Murray. Other players in the league should be giving him a call and going, we understand he's not necessarily a Vezina winner, but how do you get so many on him? Beagle was then set up, got no shot. Senators get a power play. They're 0 for 2. And I'm just gonna say it. The Senators power play sucks. We're back. We're back to where it was last season. The power play is bad, and we'll talk about it again. Shabbat would score to get Ottawa on the board at 14-15. So that makes it 3-1. And I kept waiting for at least some kind of a shift in Ottawa's favor that never really came. Now, Ottawa got a ton of shots in that second period. I'm taking nothing away from Braden Holtby. But I never felt like this game was in danger of getting away from the Canucks. I never felt like there was really a chance Ottawa was going to score 3 in a row and force an overtime. Canucks get a power play. They also had another power play in the last minute. They didn't score on the rest of their power plays, but they had opportunities. Third period, and the first thing I wanted to point out was Quinn Hughes is playing really, really well offensively. Tons of points. He's really got to watch those turnovers. You can get covered by other guys, and other guys cover for him, but he's really got to watch turning over that puck. As great as these 3 games have been, against another team, against Edmonton, against Toronto, against Montreal, against teams with better offensive players than what Ottawa has, those turnovers are going in the net. But Pearson scores from Höglander at 147. So Nils Höglander is quietly putting together a very good rookie season. I know there's going to be Canuck fans say, hey, can we get Calder or get nominated again? Chill on that a little bit, because there are some really big name, high profile rookies, and Kaprizov exists. But Höglander's done very, very well. He's been improving with every game. The Canucks had a 2-on-1 that just failed to connect. Josh Brown with a penalty. Canucks go to the power play. Chatfield then cross-checked Tkachuk, so Tkachuk was getting a penalty. It ends up being a power play for Ottawa, and it felt like Brady Tkachuk was kind of irritating the Canucks. In Game 3, they were kind of done with him. And Keith, I'm not Keith. Keith used to do this, but Matthew Tkachuk seems to have that same effect as well. So both Tkachuk brothers, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Keith Tkachuk could do that as well. He could irritate people quite badly. So there was an extra 2 for Chatfield. This is the third power play. And then Edler with a dangerous-looking play makes it a 5-on-3 for a minute and a half. And that ticked off the Sens. They didn't like that hit by Edler. And that's with 9:21 left. But that 5-on-3 was terrible. The Senators' 5-on-3, whether it's clearing the puck out of the zone yourself or just no confidence, there was nothing going on, and they didn't score 5-on-3. They had no chance 5-on-4. It just looked bad. This is a team that looks like they've lost all their confidence. This is a team that looks like they don't have much of anything going on, and I don't know that the roster changes are going to work. They changed the roster for each game against Vancouver, and the result ends up being essentially the same. Holtby was quietly having a very good game, and then McEwen and Tkachuk had a fight. So like I said, this is how it works. McEwen ends up with the extra two out of that. So one thing for Tkachuk. Twice tonight, he got the Canucks goaded into taking a penalty where, yeah, he goes to the box, but the Senators got a power play. It's just their power play sucks. That was in the last minute of the game. They don't score on it, so Ottawa's power play ends up 0 for 5. 3 stars in this game. Besser, Holtby, and Pettersson were the 3 stars. All of them, of course, for the Canucks. Shots 11-10 in favor of Ottawa in the first. 19-9 Ottawa in the second. But like I said, it just didn't. I didn't feel that they're going to blow it. And then the shots were 6 apiece in the third. Final shots 36-25 in favor of Ottawa. Like I said, 0 for 5. Vancouver 1 for 4. The hits were 36-22 in favor of Ottawa, so they hit a ton. They got a lot of shots. Here we are. Penalty minutes 17-15. Vancouver had more penalty minutes. Faceoffs 54.5% in favor of Vancouver. Matt Murray saves 21 out of 25. They haven't had a really good goaltending performance from Ottawa really since opening night, I think. And Holtby saves 35 out of 36. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding all these games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.